Nintendo is finally starting to show a little love for their old handhelds with the Nintendo Switch Online service. The bad news is they're doing a terrible job with it. Like, come on, what's with the selection? Where's Dance Dance Revolution? While I typically spend more time modding Game Boys than actually playing them, I figured I should help Nintendo pick out some games so we can stop getting ports of games that are already on NSO. I know there's extra levels and blah blah blah. There are other good games on the Game Boy that should be on this service. So here are my top 10 games that Nintendo should add to Switch Online. For this list, I tried to avoid any games that aren't already playable in a collection, re-release, or anything like that. And as far as I know, none of these games are playable on the Switch in any official capacity. And since I could easily just list all the Pokemon games and call it a day, I decided to go with entire series for some of these entries. So let's start with number 10, Spud's Adventure. I don't have this game. I know almost nothing about it other than it's really expensive. From the gameplay I've seen online, it looks really boring. Honestly, I just needed something for my number 10 spot, and I thought it would be hilarious if this game plummeted in value because it was added to NSO. I have no idea how Atlas kept cooking up rare potatoes for the Game Boy, but I doubt we'll ever see them match their way to Switch Online. On a more serious note, number 9, Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. This is another game that I haven't really played, but hear me out. I've always wanted to play Kid Icarus Uprising, but I'm not interested in breaking my hands in order to do it. So my hope with this one is that if it dropped on NSO, it would generate enough hype to get a Kid Icarus Uprising remake or port, whatever's easier, do the Dark Moon thing. But these games have almost nothing in common, so unfortunately, I think I'm just streaming here. Okay, now on to the Game Boy games that I actually want to play. Number 8, Pokemon Pinball. While I totally understand pinball games aren't everyone's cup of tea, this has a cool Pokemon spin on it. Even though it might take you a long time, you can actually catch them all across red and blue boards, just like the original games. Personally, I've never really been one to complete the Pokedex, and doing it in pinball makes it even less enticing to me. But if I'm going to play a digital pinball game, I'm going to pick the one with the Pokemon theme. This is also one of the few Game Boy games with Rumble. Yeah, Game Boy had Rumble. It was just in the cartridge and not in the Game Boy. Just imagine what they could do with HC Rumble. And this would definitely never happen, but it would be sick if they added a vertical mode for handheld play to show the whole board at once. Nintendo would never go the extra mile like that though. Coming back down to earth, I put the Donkey Kong Land series at number 7. The Donkey Kong Country series gets a lot of praise, and I find it a bit strange that none of the Game Boy games have landed on NSO. I feel like they aren't talked about as much because people think they're ports, but they're actually standalone games. Also, Donkey Kong Country was ported to the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. I think this is another great series for Nintendo to drop to test the waters for a new Donkey Kong Country sequel. Plus, these games had Super Game Boy features built in, and that would be so cool to see it brought back for the big screen. I think that would be a cool little docked exclusive. Next up at number 6 is the Wario Land series. Another one that I haven't spent a ton of time with, but I feel like if you're going to put the third one on Switch, you should put the other ones on there too. I feel like it's that simple. Just put them all on there. And I know they're wildly different games, but this could be another way to promote the new WarioWare game that's coming out soon. Now, number 5 is a wild one, but hear me out. The Game Boy camera. I know, I hear you. Jake, the Switch doesn't have a camera. Oh, but it does. I didn't grab a Switch. Hold on. This little guy right here has a little IR dealio hidden behind it, and it can be used as a very low quality camera akin to the Game Boy camera. Now I know it wouldn't really be the same, but imagine how cool that would be. No one would expect it. So in other words, Nintendo will never do it. Number 4 is a game that I've only just recently heard of while doing research for this video, Nubo. It is an adorable puzzle adventure game starring a cute little blob with the best smile.
So you see, that's where the trouble began. That smile. That damn smile.
It's a Japanese exclusive that's flown under the radar because it was originally made to sell chocolate. It has me sold because I'm a sucker for a good puzzle game. Nintendo, please, bring this game back. I know it's not your IP, but do it. I'm sure they'll say yes. Cracking the top 3 is another series that I haven't tried, but I really want to. Mega Man. While the Rockman series has collections on collections on collections, there has never been a Mega Man collection that included the 5 Game Boy games. There was gonna be a collection of all 5 games on the GBA where they were fully colored, but that was unfortunately canceled and Capcom has never done anything with them since. Rumor has it that they lost the source code and that might be the reason why some of these are so pricey, but Capcom, all you gotta do is hand the ROMs over to Nintendo and call it good. All right, number 2 might upset some of you because it's so high on the list, but I don't care. I love the original Super Mario Land, and it's disrespectful that the Game Boy NSO didn't launch with it. It's one of, if not my favorite Game Boy game, and I think more people need to experience it. It's arguably the most unique 2D Super Mario, and I'm just gonna say it, it's better than its sequel. It's not a super long game, but it's a solid and challenging one that I would love to see more people playing. I have awesome memories of handing my Game Boy to my dad for help beating those stupid fire lions, and I still enjoy struggling to beat this game. And at number 1, you probably guessed it, Pokemon. Obviously, the biggest franchise in the world needs to be on here. But imagine this. For the first time outside of Japan, Pokemon Green fully translated. I know it's pretty much just our Pokemon Blue, but it would be so cool if they added that as a little bonus. Everyone is expecting Pokemon to come to this at some point, but no one would expect Pokemon Green. What games do you think Nintendo should add to NSO? Let me know in those comments down below. And if you want me to do this video again for the GBA games, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. Cowboys can't shoot slow, or they'll end up below. When they need some help, they reach for the root beer shelf. You thirsty, partner?